Hello everyone. Yeah, I've got to be honest, I was not originally planning to do this video, but something came up and, it was something, I've got to be honest, I wasn't prepared for, and then when I saw it, it got me kind of thinking about a question, and then that kind of spiraled into another question, which spiraled into another, which got me talking to people, and so video. So the idea of is AK Girl an original character, aka an OC. Now, this came about, I'm not going to name names, but basically the person involved, I'm using their art in this thing. But like I say, you can look this up easily enough. So in effect, they do a picture for AK August. Awesome, looks fantastic, and they sort of do it like in the style of a certain series that another artist does. They credit the artist, they say what it is, they do that. Personally, for me, I think that's fine. I think that's okay personally, like I said. And then this person comes in and says, well, with this particular series that we do, we don't allow OCs. And I don't know why I felt the need to interject, because it's not important or anything, but I kind of said, well, that depends on your definition of OC, because, we've been doing this character for nearly 18 years, we've published comics, we've had, we've had people do, voice recordings with this, we've had, we've had like someone on local TV apparently do a really good impression of Megafox, so that's really cool. And we've had people do spin-off stuff from it, but it did get me thinking, and I'm not in a bad way. Like I said, I'm not having a go at this person, so please don't think that I'm sort of instigating anything. This person's fine, the other person's fine. Like, this isn't anything to worry about. It's just, it provided with me an interesting question, because when I always think of the OC, I always think of that sort of meme / trope where someone sort of does a recolor of Sonic, and it's the joke, they type it into Google, it's your name, the hedgehog, and then that's haha, oh, OC, do not steal, and the subtext always seems to be that it's something derivative. And I mean, in a way, I can kind of see their point, because when we first created this character, it was a character that came about through a writing forum. There was definitely Sonic influence. But, I just wonder, like, at what point does this character then progress? At what point do you go, well, this is its own thing? So, for example, with Ninja Turtles was always an indie comic, it was always original, but they kind of put a reference in the comic where, I mean, they obviously don't say it explicitly, but they say that in effect the accident that got Daredevil blind and caused his powers mutated the Ninja Turtles. Obviously, it's never, like I said, it's never said explicitly, but it's kind of referenced and homaged. So they're very smart with that, and obviously, if you know the sort of parody things in there. So instead of the Foot Clan in Ninja Turtles, in Daredevil it's the hand. And Daredevil's mentor is called Stick. Ninja Turtles called Splinter. So it's cute. And it's done in the way like all good homage. I mean, it's that incredible thing of a homage where you can watch it straight and you can just enjoy it. But obviously, if you know the side stuff, it becomes enjoyable. Now, at what point does this mean, despite, being bought up by Viacom, despite being an enormous multi-selling thing in its own right, are the Ninja Turtles OCs? If we're going by a literal definition, which is why I've got to admit, I kind of reached a wall here, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk to some people and get their opinions. Just before I say this, because I know these guys might be watching, I might not necessarily use the whole quote, because I'm aware that we've kind of gone about 5 minutes over sort of setting this up, so I'm going to try and keep this to a minimum. So let's go, and obviously I'm going to be reading from a screen, so if that looks weird, that's the reason why. So, AtomicSorcery, who I spoke to through the Fangang Discord, so shout out to all the guys there. So, his definition was, probably at the same point when it stops being concept art and just becomes character art. I've only used OC to differentiate it from stuff created by other people, so if you were to say create a character in Dungeons & Dragons, it would be called your character as opposed to an OC. So there we go. And then RWFan53, who has been really awesome in creating an alternate short story collection, which is absolutely amazing. And so he brought in this concept of an XB, which is in effect a character from another series that's effectively inside another series. So he uses Sonic as an example here. So, while there are some similarities, there are also way too many differences. So typically Sonic doesn't have a tragic backstory related to his childhood in the way that AK Girls has. There we go. And there we go. Sonic, to the best of my knowledge, is never depicted as having an Achilles heel the way that AK Girls does with Caramel. Technically, it's water, although, like you say, it's not quite on the same level. I get the point. And Sonic never has to undergo a training arc. Interesting. And Sonic's influence is there. It doesn't come across to the level of an XB. You've taken your own spin on the concept, and Vibes is much more, has more sort of personal internal struggles than Sonic has to deal with. So, IWFan53 really analysed that really well, so respect to him, and sort of articulated it better than I could. Hikari, we had a quick chat, but, the basic summary of what he said was, he doesn't think that it's a knockoff, that it's basically an original character is an original character. So that's cool. That is very cool stuff. So there we go. And we also put this to a vote on DeviantArt and Twitter. What was really not Twitter, YouTube. So on YouTube it was 60-40 that yes, AK Girl is an OC, and I think there was there was more votes on DeviantArt, and on DeviantArt it was 88% on yes, AK Girl is an OC. Now, whether or not the person voting for that was saying it in, in a good way or a derogatory way, we don't know. I want to be optimistic, to be honest. I want to be optimistic because I think, I want to see that is her as an original character, in the sense of a character that feels very much of themselves. And if so, I think going through this, as I say, talking with everyone, I started off feeling a little bit sort of disappointed that, in effect, you could do all this work and that's the way they view it. But I think, as I say, the way people have described this and the way people have analysed this is kind of giving me more reassurance, and it's always nice to know that the work you put into a character is appreciated. And obviously, when I say my work, that's on the writing side, but obviously we've had, Hayley Evident with her voice work, and Holly McKeown before that. We've had lots of artists put their stamp on it, so, Susie's done a great job with AK Girl art, and Joe and Jed, I could name so many artists, but again, I'm wary that we're coming to the 10-minute mark on this, and As per usual, the thing I intended to be quick has not been this quick. But before I sort of sign off on this, because we're coming up to the end of AK August, so at the time of recording, we have 10 days before the end of the month, and it's been really good, I have to say. We've had some fantastic art. So Sebastian Dawn, who does Turbo Fox, and Dan Butcher, who did Vanguard, both did art for us, which was really cool. And as I say, RW Fan 53 and Mrs. Zane contributed as well. Zadram guest video, also guest video from Amanda McKnight, which I was really happy with. And I think what this shows is, like I say, people are getting out there, people are going for it. We've had some fantastic AK August entries already. I'm hoping we get some more after this goes out, because the range of artwork, because I just posted a video just now, which was like fave AK Girl images, and I did like 10 rounds, and like they each had like 4, so that's like 40 images, and we could have done more. We really could have done, but I think at a certain point you have to kind of put it all together and get it out there, and I think we kind of left it at the point where we could kind of collate it all and I could not go insane, so that's good. Although it did involve me having to do maths, and even very simple maths was like, oh god, I am going to have to get the calculator out. But phenomenal job, and I love that we've got such an amazing range of art and fabulous artists, and we can name check them all and kind of give them a bit more traffic, hopefully. But yeah, so the final thing I wanted to talk about, so in effect, I suppose the point of this ramble is we have reached a certain level. So we are reaching the point where we are about to launch the final issue at the, hopefully, everything going well, at the end of next month, time of recording. What happens next is up to all of us. So I will do everything I can to get this out there. I want to do an animated series. It would be amazing to do the next thing. After this issue is out, we're going to have some discussions on sort of decide what is and isn't practical, and kind of what we go from there, costing, etc. All the boring stuff. But we want to get it out there, and the amazing thing at the minute is that independent animation has become so big. Would it be awesome to sort of get like Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever? Absolutely. I'm not ruling anything in or out, but I do think the advantage with kind of the independent sphere is that we can control this a bit more, that we can put out what we want to put out in the way that we want to. And in order to do this, we need you. So yeah, when I say posting pictures of AK Girl helps, it really does, because by doing this, so like the other day, like I say, after this picture went out, someone we looked at and was like, oh, what's this? And we got another subscriber on DeviantArt, and it's things like this that really do help it get out there. So yeah, if you want to post videos about this, if you want to talk about this, we want to get the comic out there, and the more you help us, the more we can do. And yes, it would be brilliant if that also meant people sort of backing us, which is, I'm going to put a link at the end. But it's not just that, it is also, in a positive way, sort of letting people know that this is something that can be made. And obviously we've got the animated trailer that we got the crowdfunding for earlier in the year. Giovanni's doing an amazing job on it, and we've got a great voice cast. I would love to do more, I would love to bring more people in, but we will do everything we can, but the more support we have, the more we can do. And that means buying comics, that means putting the donations down, that means sharing the links, subscribing to the channel. All of it helps, all of it. like I say, and I really mean this, I get that nobody has to do anything, and the people who have been most amazing for us, bless them, they're usually the ones to message me and apologise, and it's like, you guys are the ones who are doing the most, so don't worry. But you can do this, and I sincerely mean this, because, you know, I'm getting really excited that we're going to do the final part soon, and the comic will be done, but that doesn't mean the project is done. You know, it depends on you, and hopefully the police not catching up with me. So, with that in mind, if you have any more thoughts on what we've been talking about, if you would like to get involved, please let us know. Much love. Bye.
Well, howdy folks, this here is Lenore Zan, aka Rogue of the X-Men. That's right, and I'm coming to you today from Providence, Rhode Island to say thank you so much to everybody who contributed to Reynard City. I think that beautiful show deserves a lot of attention and success. And in particular, I want to say thank you to the backers. That would be Rev 701, Sios the Spaniel, Joe the English Otter, and Van Hikari. And then as well, we'd like to say thank you to Nicholas, Joe Draco Pedersen, Emily Bandicoot, Eli Reynard, Delisle LaFortune, and the entire Reynard City creative team. So keep on creating, folks, and I hope to meet y'all in the future.